Everything okay?
This is the only thing I'm thinking of because we're outside. We are gonna. Do you hear the noise from the ships?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, good.
You're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. Got
So,
it. Got it.
so we have one of the original Latin divas of comedy, Sara Contreras.
Bueno, te botaste, hijo. That means you outdid yourself with that pronunciation.
Thank you. I was hoping I got it right. I was actually practicing for a couple of days because.
How long were you rolling that R?
Oh, for a while. Like when I first called you and left a message, I'm like, fuck, I think I mispronounced that name.
No, you did a good job.
I did?
Impressed. I was like, if he messes this up, we're not doing any type of podcast, but you nailed it.
Oh, okay.
And you are Livia.
Yes. Yeah.
I got to get you right too.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty simple name, no big deal. So you are a comic for many years. You are a seasoned veteran. And I found out about you when I watched Latin Divas of Comedy in 2007. And I'm going to assume most people kind of realized who you were around that time.
Yeah, that was sort of the one real big project that had been actually been going on for a couple of years. So we actually started taping that as far back as even 2004, 2005.
Okay.
They were still trying to figure out if the formula was going to be right given who they had booked. So we had done a couple of shows in in Arizona and in San Antonio and stuff. But 2007 was when we finally got the 5 divas that we taped, and I think it was seminal in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But we did not have social media.
That's right. That was basically, I watched it on HBO.
Yeah.
And then I watched
it on Netflix. I don't know.
No, Netflix was battling with Blockbuster. And they were doing like the send home videos. Remember, you would go online on Netflix and you would say, "Oh, I want to watch this movie," and they would mail it to your house. That was Netflix. And then Netflix.
So it wasn't the beast that it is now. That if we had an opportunity to put these 5 Latina comedians together, it would have blown up in ways that would have been like exponential.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
What happened? We had a great response to it. It got nominated for an Alma Award.
Oh, really?
So pretty meaty stuff. Yeah, we were up against George Lopez.
That's a rough
that was a tough.
Because George Lopez had his own sitcom back then, right?
That's what I was saying. Yeah, but you don't have to say, "Oh, just to be nominated." It's real. Like that's a very real response.
Yeah, you're recognized finally. All your hard work is being recognized. So during that, it was you. It was Monique Marvez. It was Marilyn.
Who was a Mexican American.
Right, and it was Sandra,
who is also Mexican American.
And then there was, I forgot the other girl's name. I wrote it down and I can't even fucking read it.
Sandra, Monique, Sara Contreras, Marilyn, and me. So there were 5 of us.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So there were the 5 of us. So that's what they try to plan it so that we represented all different types of Latino. That whole big family.
Every aspect, yeah.
Yeah. So I was the Boricua diva.
Well, I think that's probably one of the reasons why I found you so funny, because I was from Brooklyn. I'm Italian, but the majority of Spanish people that I knew in Brooklyn were Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. So I probably, I could relate a little bit to it a lot more.
Yeah.
What
part of Brooklyn? Red Hook?
Bensonhurst. My parents are from Red Hook.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, and then they moved to Bensonhurst. And you were from Bed-Stuy, right?
Bed-Stuy, do or die.
Now you were from Bed-Stuy when Bed-Stuy was Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy. I moved to Bed-Stuy in 60. Do I dare say 60?
I'm not going to say
I was a baby. No, but I really was. 63. I lived there till 73. So I was there when Bed-Stuy was Bed-Stuy. Just when that white flight was really, really taking flight.
Yeah, that's right.
White people were like, "You can have this. We're gonna be back in 40 years."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This shit's on loan now.
Yeah, right. It was bad back then. I remember my parents. There was some parts of Brooklyn. My parents. I remember I wanted to go see a hockey game at Coney Island, and my parents. I lied to them because they didn't want me to go.
Coney Island was still kind of like not that bad.
Yeah.
Compared to where.
Compared to Bed-Stuy and Brownsville, and absolutely, yeah.
Let me just tell you, the last time I went to Coney Island, I was very young, probably early 70s, and somebody actually threw a cherry bomb on my mom's arm as we were walking underneath the boardwalk to get to our car. And
wow,
that was
really?
the last time we went to Coney Island.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was crazy back then.
That was crazy. It was crazy.
So,
but, listen, I still, people don't believe me when I tell them, despite the drugs, despite the crime, despite everything that was going on in that area, I had a happy childhood.
No, it's true. I think there's too many people bitching and moaning over their lives. And I mean,
I had a happy childhood.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There was some crazy things that went on. But, you know, living in that neighborhood, like you in Bed-Stuy and me in Bensonhurst, like even though there were crazy things that went on, the neighborhood kept you safe, if that makes sense.
I agree.
You know?
It was still a community.
Yeah. No, but yeah. Now I don't even know my friggin' neighbors, you know? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. They looked out for one another. Like I still remember when we were in the projects, we were on the 13th floor, 13F. I will never forget. And our next door neighbor was Hattie Mae, who came up from the South, and her kids, Tyrone and Caroline. And I can't remember the third sibling, but I had such a nasty crush on him. I remember. It's still fine. I just had a crush on him. But the point was, we looked out for one another.
Right.
Even though there was all this going on, I don't care what anybody says, I still think it was safer than now.
Yeah. Well,
there weren't guns. There were no guns. If people got shot, that was like, what?
Yeah.
Somebody got shot? Like, it's not like now that I honestly, I go like this when I read it in the news.
Yeah, right. Like nothing's wrong. I think the height of the crime in New York was probably the 80s. Because when I was a kid, there were people getting shot in Bensonhurst, but it was usually either some gangster stuff, some mafia stuff, or somebody was trying to make a name for themselves and trying to be you mean
like the real mafia?
Yeah.
Damn, you live like that?
Well, did I send it to you? I had Larry Mazza. I think I sent you the interview. And I had Larry Mazza on. And he's been on 3 times because I'm from the same neighborhood as him. So as soon as I told him I was from Bensonhurst, like he's like, yeah, just name the time and place. You know, and he's been on and so on and so forth. Anyway, I want to talk about you though.
Yes.
So how long have you been doing stand-up?
Man, I've been doing, November 5th was my 26th anniversary.
Of doing stand-up?
Doing stand-up, straight up stand-up. Like, I still can't believe that I've been doing it as long as I've been doing it, because it's not what I set out to do.
Right. You said you were
I'm a speech pathologist. Like, I have such a different second job where it's very clinical and extremely science specific. And then I landed into this thing, and all of a sudden the creative part of me was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this. You always wanted to write.
Right.
And you were funny. And I got on stage for a funniest teacher contest at Stand Up New York, and I won. John, I won.
Really? So if you've been doing it for 26 years, that means you weren't really doing it that long when you hit Latin Divas of Comedy.
I had been doing it not that long. I started in 95, so I had been doing it
10 years or so.
I think I got booked right about 2005.
Okay, so right about 10 years.
Because remember I said to you that it took a couple of years of development before we actually did the taping. So just about 10 years. But I got to tell you, John, when I first started doing comedy, I was a huge novelty. And I knew that. There were only a handful. If I tell you, maybe this many comics doing stand-up in New York who were Latinas.
That's right.
And I sort of came on, and within like a year, I had an agent. I had people looking to manage me. So I was very lucky. It was a time where there just weren't many of us. And so I was able to get booked a lot. I mean, I was working constantly. I think I've only done one open mic in my entire career.
Wow. That's fantastic.
I was very, very fortunate. And I call it that because it doesn't happen. And nothing's particularly special about the comedy that I was doing, but it was just the timing. It was just coming in when I did. And, I would go up on stage, and I was very, very fit at that time. And I would wear these little belly shirts.
I remember.
Belly head. You remember that?
Yeah, of course. I remember.
Freca.
Well, that was my next question. My next question was, do you think you were booked because you were funny or because you were beautiful?
Thank you for that. I think that I honestly really feel that it was really just about, like, honestly, I can't say that it was just because I had a look, because there's a lot of people that have looks and they get up on stage.
No, you are legitimately funny.
They tank. I was able to bring a little bit of my writing. You know, I was 30, I was 38. I was 37 when I first started.
Oh, wow.
So I was a full-fledged professional in another field.
Okay.
And I had always been a writer. I was always writing poetry, short stories. I wanted to be a journalist.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted to travel the world, like maybe like who's the guy here? I'm totally drawing a blank. Gloria Vanderbilt's son. Why do I not remember?
Oh God, I don't know. I got to ask my wife.
You took this bad.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah.
With the white hair. Oh my God, I'm having such a mental part right now.
Hold on.
But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to travel the world and get shot at and dodge bullets and cover stuff. And I had very, very working class parents. Anderson Cooper, thank you.
Oh, okay. I was about to friggin' Google it. That's why I was looking at my phone. Okay, good. Anderson Cooper.
I got my producer here handling it.
All right, good.
But my working class parents said, a writer?
Yeah.
You need to work for the city.
Yeah. That was right.
You need a city job. You need to work for transit.
Yeah.
You need to get a pension.
That's what I do. I don't work for transit. I work for the I work for the DEP. I'm a sewer worker. So.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's how you did it. And you know what? You said it's a great way to live. Listen. Yeah,
no, absolutely. They had the best intentions for us. You know, that's just the God's honest truth.
Yeah, and it is. But that's what they knew. That was that generation. What did your parents do?
My father was an electrician, and my mother, of course, was a stay-home mom.
Of course,
like every other Italian mother, you know. Yeah, my mother was like every other Italian woman. I'm stealing this joke from somebody, you know. She, of course, like every other Italian mother, she was up at 5 a.m. vacuuming. Yeah, that's actually an Artie Lang joke, and I'm not gonna lie, I stole one of your jokes.
Which one?
I did. I stole one of your jokes, but it kind of like just fit. So what happened was I was walking into the gym, and this was when you like were first, like right after you blew up. I was walking into the gym, and there was this. I was living in New York at the time, and there was this Spanish kid who was a young guy, like maybe 20, and he was walking out. And I was walking in, and I said, "Hey, what's up, man?" He goes, "What's good?" And I was like,
"No, what's really good? What's really good?"
Yeah, and I was like, then I took yours, and I just told it the story like you told it to my friends. Yeah.
And then you know what? I'm going to tell you something. That a lot of the comedy that I write is so directly attached to something that happened either that day or some interaction that I had, constantly writing little notes everywhere, putting stuff on the phone. And then I'll go back to it and I'll forget that I even said it. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was so funny. And I'll write a bit off of it.
Right.
But I do it constantly. And that was one of those moments. I remember that my son had said something, and I said something to the effect of, really? Well, let me tell you what's really good, Papa. That is funny. Like,
it is.
You know, and that's how I test stuff. Like, I'll do stuff around people. And if I get 2 or 3 laughs, I'm like, okay, we're going to work on that. And
right.
That's a joke. So that's part of the process.
Well, I think one of my opinions is what makes you such a great comic is, even though you are Spanish and you are female, that's not just your audience. You know, a great comic can make different backgrounds laugh, and maybe for different reasons. And I like, I'm not Spanish, and I'm obviously not a woman, and I thought you were hilarious
that's great,
because it wasn't just like. You also had like a certain amount of slapstick. You also, you know, were embedded in the truth. Like your jokes are embedded in the truth. Like when you talk about, you know, what's good, or when you talk about when you talked about how your son's friends used to love you, or when, you know, and then the best, and then my favorite. Well, still, I mean, really, you're still a very attractive woman.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then going to the club, which is my favorite bit of yours of all time. I mean, that is just
26 years later.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna do that joke, right? I'm like, dude, I'm tired of that joke. No, you have to do that joke.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of what we do. That people, they want something new sometimes, but they are perfectly okay with anything that you've done in the past.
Yeah.
It's familiar to them. And I see people, like, sometimes I see them like lean in and kind of be like, you got to watch this. This is going to be really fun.
Yes.
Love that moment. When I
Right.
see that, I almost want to go, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm going to do it for you. So I do get that request a lot, but if I'm telling you, John, that is so clearly based on the fact that, you know, I broke up with I just want to tell you, when I did that contest at the Stand Up New York, where I won, that was literally November, 5 months after I left my husband. So it was the perfect storm of so many different parts of my life coming together, and saying to myself, like, how do I want to live my life? And one of the things I wanted to do was take chances. You know, I had always kind of been a little bit safe, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start taking these chances. And it's remarkable that all of these things just started to fall into place one after the other. And here I am 26 years later, and people will say to me, do that, do the homework. Like, there's several jokes. I don't know if you've seen my Hallmark joke, but I get a feeling that you would really love that joke.
I'll look it up. I'm not 100% sure because that's
like, you know, like they'll literally call it that. You got to do the Hallmark joke, and you got to do the clubbing joke. And I love the joke that you do about feet. Like, people are actually like isolating
the
bits.
feet one. Yes, yeah.
The feet one, and just asking me for it. And I'm like, well, I wasn't planning on doing it. No, you have to do it.
Right.
But I'm one of those people that's constantly writing new material. I am always writing new material.
So, growing up, were you a fan of comedy?
Yes, huge fan of comedy.
So, what did you prefer? Did you prefer stand-up or sketch? Because your generation was a lot of sketch comedy with Saturday Night Live and that kind of.
I'm sorry, darling. Go back.
Okay, sorry. You mean,
go back.
Okay, so before. Carol Burnett. I was actually going to say Laughing.
Laughing.
Yeah.
I remember Goldie Hawn used to open up these two doors.
Yeah.
And then close the doors, that Laughing wall. So it was Laughing. It was Flip Wilson.
That's right. Flip Wilson.
Ask
who was
me who my favorite woman in comedy is. And it's Geraldine.
That's right. Geraldine. I forgot about that.
Geraldine set the bar real high.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So Laughing, Ruth Buzzy, all those people, Joanne Worley. I remember their names. It was so much fun. I was super young. That's what I grew up. We didn't have a lot of options. We didn't have cable. You know,
that's
so
it. You either watch TV or we're outside playing.
Thank you. And we did a lot of playing. So that was always my favorite George Carlin line. Give a kid a stick and put him in the backyard.
That's right.
That's all they need.
Yeah, that's right.
But I remember also, you know, the classics, the Bill Cosby's, the Robert Klein, lots of George Carlin. I love George Carlin.
Carlin and Pryor for me were probably the two greatest ever.
I think so.
Only because nobody ever did anything like that before them. Like there was never a black guy that made fun of white people before Richard Pryor. And there was never like the intellectual comic like George Carlin before.
That's right.
You know?
And did it hilariously.
Oh, yeah. They were hysterical.
It was like groundbreaking, but it was so funny.
Yeah. You go back and watch it now and it's hilarious.
It's still hilarious. Yeah. I was watching something recently. And when he does the bit about the monkey going in his ear and he's like.
I forgot about that.
Get stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
You know who was also kind of very cutting edge for his time was Freddie Prince.
That's right.
It was also very groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And that poor man shot himself, and I remember almost as sad as the day that we found out that Roberto Clemente had been killed.
Oh God, that's right.
Hours.
Yeah, that's right.
He was doing this remarkable job, but the business was just too much, and it ate him up.
Yeah. You know, I can only imagine what it's like. You know, people in my position love to point fingers and say, oh, if I had that life, if I made that much money, if I was a celebrity, what problems do they have? And I can't relate, but I could understand that there must be a whole host of new problems when you get to that point.
I agree.
You know,
totally agree, yeah.
I mean, Dave Chappelle didn't run away for nothing. I'm sure there was a tremendous amount of grief, and everybody handles it differently, you know?
Yeah, and you see what's happening now. I think by walking away when he did, and taking that time to just become who he is and really fine-tune his voice and say, I don't give a shit, I'm going to say whatever's in my head.
That's right.
I have so much respect for him.
Yes, thank you.
And I am the type of person that I'll go, ooh, ow. like I feel where some people might react to it, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't help it. I'm laughing my ass off.
Oh yeah, half the things that people would throw up at, I'm laughing at.
I don't, and I feel like, damn, I feel like now every time I see my friends, I have to kind of go, well, and I have a lot of friends that really find him offensive and
never
watch him again.
Yeah. The same thing. Well, we'll get into that because that's one of the topics I wanted to get into is the political correctness, but we'll get into that. I still want to know who was your favorite stand-up, as far as men or women stand-up.
I really love George Carlin a lot.
Okay.
I have to say, I was always someone who had a political side to me, and I loved smart comedy.
Yes.
As much as I love the physical stuff, and look, a good fart joke will crack me up. But I love the smart stuff a whole lot more. Like if I have to really think about it, and then all of a sudden I am busting out laughing when I thought about it. Like I like Louis Black for that reason.
Yes, yeah.
Louis lobs these bombs at you, and then you hit it, and like, oh damn, that's really funny.
Yeah.
I also like Kathleen
Madigan. Kathleen Madigan is great.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't see. Here's another woman who's this amazing writer that has reached all kinds of pinnacles, and a lot of people don't know who Kathleen Madigan is.
No,
I think she's marvelous.
I think people most know her for Amy Schumer stealing jokes from her.
Not just
Patrice? No, it wasn't just Patrice. It wasn't just Patrice O'Neal.
Wow, I have heard that many times.
Yeah, me too. I don't know the specifics, but I'm sure there was like several women and Patrice.
No, the Patrice joke I know was definitely his joke.
Patrice does not get enough credit.
Yeah.
Patrice, in my opinion, Patrice was a damn genius.
Yeah, he was a really great writer, but I have to tell you, he was not kind to me in the beginning.
Well, I could see that because he's not I could totally see that.
I could give a shit. Who's this new comedian? Whatever.
Yeah.
He used to literally, when I walked into the club, I went into Comedy Cellar many times to try to sort of figure out if I wanted. I've never worked there. And part of the reason why I've never worked is because I was so intimidated by being treated so mean as a new comic there that I just went back. But I do agree that he was one of the best writers. I mean, brilliant.
Yeah, his comedy was, and it was different.
Yeah.
He said the painful truth that nobody wants to face.
That's our job.
And he made it funny. Like he did a bit about how important a white woman's life is. Did you ever see that one?
How many years ago did he do that bit?
Yeah. I don't know. It was like 15 years ago. Yeah. And something like that. And he actually, said, a white woman dies and that's, 6 months news on, a major network. And then he looked at a black woman in the audience. He goes, if you died, how long do you think people would look for you? Like, how long do you think? And those are realizations that, like, when he said that, I was like, holy shit, that's so fucking true.
Yeah. See, that's one of the things I've had a problem with in this business, that I tend to be very self-conscious. And I don't know if he was perceptive enough to pick that up when I was a new comedian. And maybe that was his issue, where I think because I was relying on a little bit of the, coochie, that type of stuff. I was kind of aware of a lot of the attention that you get, and I was still not comfortable with it.
Yeah. Well,
but also just finding your voice in this business, sticking to saying what it is you want to say, and sticking with it.
I can only imagine.
It's like woman stuff, Latina stuff. I just sort of went around too many. I was trying to please too many people.
Right.
And I should have just been true to the things that I enjoyed writing about and just stuck with it. Because I liked a lot of political humor, but my audiences weren't feeling it. So I would change it. And then I would go clean. And then maybe they liked it. And then I didn't curse as much. And then I cursed more, but then they didn't like it. And I was constantly changing my material. But it forced me to write more.
Okay. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating, right? Because
frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I do it myself on the podcast. I absolutely refuse to talk about politics, religion, because I just don't want to talk about those things. Even on I do this one comedy thing called Guy Talk, and I sent you a couple of videos of it. Yeah, and it's like really the only comedy thing I do, and it's just with my friends.
And it's funny, yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. And my friends, because of where I work, are, you know, there's me, there's Meatball, who's Italian, but then there's Steve, who's black, and then I always have like either Dave Diaz on or Joel or, you know, a Spanish guy, and we all get along. We all work together. But I tell them the rules are no politics, no religion, and you got to drink. We're all drinking. You can't not drink, because it makes it funny. Because 20 minutes in, you're loaded, and you know, then you shoot from the hip.
Comes out, truth bombs.
Right.
I call it the truth serum, right?
What? Yeah, tell me about it. So what about today? What comics today do you like coming up? Or maybe you've got comics that are, you said Dave Chappelle, but maybe comics that are already set, or comics coming up. Who do you like today? I actually
saw somebody recently that I wish I could remember his name. He was a young black comedian. I don't know who he was, but I'm going to look him up and I'm going to send you his name, because I think you should have him on if you haven't already.
Yeah,
he did the funniest joke I have seen, where he says, the people, because it's dark skin, right? Really dark skin. He says, I get this all the time. Do you sunburn or do you wear sunscreen? And, oh God, I gotta remember his name. I couldn't stop laughing. He goes, yeah, you know, we burn too. And he says, well, I thought that, you know, the black skin helps you to absorb the sun. And he says, what? So I have solar panels?
That is pretty funny, yeah. That is
so he does this thing where he goes, what do they think? I lay on the beach going, all right, son, come on. I don't want to get shot tonight. I don't know. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Just the funniest thing. And it was so damn smart.
Yeah, right.
Whole, you know, discussion of solar panels and skin color, and made this brilliant joke. So who are the comedians I'm enjoying now? I still love Dave Chappelle.
He's the GOAT. As of right now, he is the GOAT.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. He is. I like, I have to remember his name now. My problem is that I had a white Russian before the show, and I have no idea why, because I don't drink, but I wanted milk because I had a little bit of reflux, so I had a white Russian. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like Andrew Schultz.
Yes, really funny. Yeah.
Love Andrew Schultz.
Yeah, really. I went to see him.
Yes, I like this new comedian, he's been around, Richie Velez.
Sounds really familiar.
You gotta have him on your show.
All right, I'll Richie Velez. But Andrew Schultz, once I heard the food, the oppression equals better food. Once I heard that skit, I'm like, oh my God, this guy is great.
He does the type of writing where he takes what's going on in the world and just makes it something that you could just take from what he's saying and just go, here, I'm going to share this with everybody because you just broke that shit down so well. You know?
Okay, let's see. All right.
So I like that type of edgy, you know, and he annihilates anybody who dares heckle him.
Yeah.
Like, he's so fast. He reminds me a lot of Angelo. Do you know Angelo Lozada?
If I see him, I'm not 100% sure.
Angelo Lozada was the best. He was the opener for Trevor Noah for a bit.
Oh, okay.
One of the classic New York comedians. And he passed away, unfortunately, 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the creators of like New Rican Rule, and he has just been a huge part of the Latino comedy scene in New York. But Andrew, his style reminds me of Angelo.
Okay, I gotta check him out. So speaking of hecklers, how do you deal with hecklers? And give me has there ever been a story where it was like you just had a really bad heckler in the audience?
Well, I can tell you the first time I got heckled, and I love this story because I followed Big Les, who's now known as Leslie Jones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Big Les, she's a big girl, and she is absolutely funny, but
she's
very dirty.
Yeah.
And proud of it, and a beautiful thing, because that's her shtick. Again, she knew her voice and she stuck with it.
Right.
And I respect that. Like, I admire people who do that, because I could be so wishy-washy at times. Like, I don't want to say that. I get so mad at
right. Yeah, you kind of respect that. Yeah.
So we were at Caroline's. I had probably been doing comedy about 6 or 7 years, and I hadn't met a lot of the comedians. It was all female. It was at Caroline's, and it was a urban night. You know what that means. So
I got you.
Hot 97 was in the house, and they used to have this DJ named whatever her name was. So I didn't know what she had done. She went up there and basically told the audience, this is going to be a great show. And if you even suspect that the comedian is weak, we want you to boo them off the stage.
Oh, Jesus. That's like worse than the Apollo. Yeah.
Green light. So Big Les gets up. And Caroline's, you have to see, there's this, they give you the setup, the lineup right at the door of the refrigerator of the kitchen. Mm. And I see the lineup, and I am second after Big Les.
Oof. Yeah.
Now I get put up a lot at the beginning of shows because I'm very physical and I bring up the energy. Okay. So a lot of people like me to open, and I could care less. I don't like closing. I'd rather be home. I'd rather go home early.
Yeah, right.
I have no problem with opening. A lot of people are threatened by that. They're nervous. I could care less. I see my name after Big Les, and it is destined. I am going to be booed.
Right.
Yeah. But I was taping something, so I needed the opportunity to work on my material.
Okay.
Big mistake. I should have gone in, yo, motherfuckers. What's
right.
That's what I should have done, and I know how to do that, okay?
Right.
I go in there, and 45, maybe 50 seconds into talking about how my mother's speech is so hard to understand. Okay. It was awful. It was just, oh my God. And I'd never been, it was 6 years. I'd never been booed.
Wow,
so
that's pretty good.
I was myself up to that point, and I'd never been heckled.
Wow.
So I was so confused. I was like, whoa, you guys don't like me? Like, you don't even give me a chance? And I remember just in that moment, I said, fuck this. You don't want me? That's okay. I'm still getting paid. And I walked off.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm not struggling. You're not feeling me. I've seen it happen where no matter how much you do, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
and
right.
You don't like me? That's their prerogative. I was like, I guess what? I still collected.
And that was it.
And that was it.
What is your go-to joke for a heckler? Like just one random heckler in the audience.
Oh. Well, the second time it happened, interestingly enough, at Caroline's.
Okay.
It was a Latina woman. And it was because I think she thought that I didn't speak Spanish. It was like an urban show with Luis Jimenez. There was a lot of Spanish on stage. And I was the first woman that had been up. And some drunk ass chick decides that she's going to start heckling me.
Okay.
So I said to her, I said, oh, so wait a second. I think the problem is that you don't think I speak Spanish.
Right.
La señora entró a la iglesia y le dijo al cura, yo me quiero confesar, pero antes de que yo comience. And I hit them with my best joke in Spanish. Audience blew up. Blew up. And then right after the set, I got off the stage and she walked over to me and I was like, don't start no shit with me with my coffee. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I love you. I don't know what possessed me. My girlfriend told me to keep shutting up. I'm so drunk. I'm like, it's okay. Go sit down. Just
right.
But the go-to, what I try, see again, I'm too nice on stage sometimes. So like a couple of times, and again, I'm very, very fortunate. I have not had to really deal with hecklers. And that's
good.
I don't know if that says something about me or that I have nice audiences. But it hasn't really been an issue for me. And when the couple of times it's happened, I usually just try to deflect and just start another joke. I mean, whatever it is that kicked you off with that one, I'll just start another bit. And I didn't even hear you because I don't want to get to like the ugly part of me that I know I will get really ugly.
So you never hit them with the classic, do I bother you when you're working? Do I come to your job and knock the dick out of your mouth?
Yeah. I haven't shown up at your job and asked for a burger, like something. It's just like that easy stuff to do.
Yeah,
but again, I haven't really had to develop that part of my act because I've been very, very lucky. I really, I don't know if it's that I'm nice on stage and people are nice to me, but I haven't really had that issue. I've only been heckled just those 2 times. Usually what happens is it gets noisy.
Okay.
And I'm very funny that way. I started this business as a grown-ass woman.
Mm-hmm.
So as a grown-ass woman, I start to going, I'm sorry, I can't work like this. I become like this operator. We need to tone it down.
Right.
I pull out my good voice, and then it becomes like, hey guys, everybody pay. You want them to shut? This is what I usually do. Hey guys, who wants this guy to shut up?
Okay.
I get the audience to do my work for me.
Yeah.
I just don't have the strength nor the inclination. And again, it's not my forte. I'm not good at that. It's sometimes, especially if it's a physical thing where I could just easily attack someone for a physical thing. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't like doing that. feels like a bully moment.
Right.
Like I have the mic, and I know you shouldn't, but I still don't have it in me to be mean.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
I'm working on it.
So what was the most embarrassing moment you ever had on stage?
Oh gosh, I'll tell you. I was doing I did a guest spot on a sketch that someone was doing on the stage at Caroline's, interestingly enough. And I got thrown into the backstage, into the wall, and I had a concussion.
Wow, really?
I carried out of Caroline's, on a stretcher.
Oh wow, that's pretty embarrassing.
With a concussion, yes, I kind of just got thrown. It was a great sketch too.
Oh man, I was thinking more like you had gas and you farted on stage or something.
No,
like
nothing like that. I had pink eye once.
Oh yeah.
I actually had very similar glasses to these.
And
I remember everybody kept saying, "We want to see your eye." I was like, "No," I'm not showing you my pink eye.
Yeah, right.
Personal. But I remember that was about the only time. I haven't really had any slips. I'm trying to think embarrassing. I've been very, very, I'm telling you, I've been lucky. I've been blessed in this business. Having said that, now I'm scared shit that I'm going to trip on stage. So thanks, John.
Yeah, great.
Set me up now to wonder what's going to be my worst moment on stage. I think that moment when I got booed, that because it was so confusing.
Right.
And I really couldn't understand why. I didn't know that woman had set the audience up. So I really felt like I'm not easily offended. I've gotten tougher, but I remember back then I was still a little bit more thin-skinned.
Right.
It just bothered me more. But again, I don't blame the audience I don't think comics should ever blame the audience for a bad set. I've seen people do that. And it's you got to either modify or adjust. You're doing something wrong if you're not connecting with the audience.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that. I've been to shows where, a comic comes on and it's just terrible, whatever the case may be, and the next comic is fantastic and the audience erupts,
It tells you something.
No, it does. It really does. I think it kind of tells you, your limitations or what you should work on, or even if you should even be in that art form, maybe it's not
what happens. So I'm going to tell you something that happens with comedians, which my man always thinks is completely crazy. We can, and I don't know if it's true for all performers, but while you're like the front of your head is doing the comedy, right? And after a while, it becomes almost automatic. There is an automaticity that comes along with sets that you've been doing a long time. Right. You don't even think about it. Once you're in the set, you can carry on the set, but the back of your mind is going, that guy, that table over there is not laughing. We're going to have to change the next joke. It's a remarkable process. I've never really noticed it until I became a comedian. Where the front of the brain is doing one thing, the back of the brain is adjusting the set.
I mean, that's almost the mark of like, genius. That's unbelievable because you're doing it in milliseconds,
And I kid you not that I never really had an opportunity in life to have that happen. Or, I was a speech therapist. It's a very controlled situation. You're the adult. You have this little kid. You're teaching them a sound. You're teaching them a concept, whatever. It's not whatever, but I'm just saying it's a very
controlled environment.
Yeah, very controlled environment. When you walk into a comedy club, it's complete chaos until you get up on that stage and they see what you got.
Right.
So you're working, but it's not, some days you're lucky and it just goes seamless. Most of the times it's like, okay, that table over there, they're talking a lot, you got to address that. I'm literally scanning the room going, okay, there's my white guy. When I get to that joke, that's who I'm going to pick.
I gotcha. Right.
You know what I mean? Like I already know I pick certain people for certain jokes and that's the way you set up the room. And sometimes it happens in seconds.
Right. Did something ever happen like, so maybe somebody has this incredible laugh or sneezed or whatever, and then you had to kind of like just improvise.
Incorporate it.
Right. Does that ever happen?
Incorporate it. Yeah. So like, let's say if you have somebody, sneezes nowadays. I mean, the truth is I have done so few sets in front of people. It's nice to even talk about performing in front of live audience.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Badly.
Yeah.
It hasn't really happened that much, but you find a way. You kind of like clock it, and then if you get the opportunity, you can literally set up the next joke so that you can bring that in and have that call back to that. to that cough.
Okay.
Maybe you'll make some comments about something that happened in your past that involved a cough, and you go, kind of like what you just said.
Right.
And then you come back to that, and you can, and then if you can use it again, it could sometimes set that could be the one thing that everybody remembers for the rest of the night.
Right.
So that's the part of it. You're always on your feet. And I've seen people do exactly the same set over and over and over with no adjustments.
Right.
Like they don't adapt it to maybe something that happened where I think, damn, that would have been a really good opportunity to bring that comment, that other comic or something. Like
Right.
They get out there, they do their set, and they're done. And for me, I love interacting with the audience. I
was going to say there are comics out there that just like ripping the audience apart. They just go through the audience, and and D.L. Hughley was famous for that. Don Rickles was famous to that, and they would just rip the audience. Oh, what's his name is great for that now. Oh God, who's the Jewish guy who brings everybody on stage, just roasts them? Oh God, he's great. They call him what's his name?
A male?
Yeah, they call him the roast master.
Lisa Lampanelli. Jeff Ross.
Right. Yeah. Jeff Ross. I mean, he made a career out of it. Made a
career out of it. Yeah.
Just ripping people apart, and people just want to get shitted on by him.
I tell you, see, and I'm so thin-skinned. I could never do a roast. Don't ever roast me. The minute you start, I'm like, you know what, John? I thought you were my friend.
And then you.
I'm not good at that. Right? That's the part of you have to really be real super thick-skinned in this business.
Yeah.
And because I'm not that way, I always say I give what I get. And if I'm not a mean comic, then don't. I've had people say, listen, I had a comic one time, I did a whole bit about dating younger men for a long time. And it's a good bit, and people still love it. And I talk about how I don't do it for the sex. It's because I don't understand technology.
That's actually pretty funny.
Every young man I've ever dated was my tech support with benefits. That's basically, I don't need a guy I don't need a young guy fumbling with his skinny fingers from being on the computer all day trying to find my G spot. Just locate my G directory and fix it, stupid.
Yeah, but that's funny. You see, that's what I mean. Like, there's truth to that.
There is truth.
There's truth to that. Like, seriously, like when I had to upload the Zoom app onto my laptop to do this when I first started a couple of years ago, like I called my niece who was in college. I'm like, you got to help me. I don't know how to do this.
And you're 20 years younger. It's like
it's the God's honest truth.
But I have to tell you, that joke evolved because I'm going to tell you why that joke evolved. Simple reason. I know exactly the minute I got the idea for that concept. Everyone who's a cougar talks about being a cougar.
Right.
And it's the same bit over and over again. I'm sore. I'm broken. My back is busted.
Right.
And I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to do it that way.
Right.
I'm going to flip it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it. I don't enjoy the sex with a young guy.
Right.
Only because that's not what everyone else was doing. You understand? So I wanted that joke to stand out as different. Don't call me a cougar. Call me an owl.
That's pretty good.
Because I am an old, wicked Latina.
I hear what you're saying.
Young men. Yeah. It's so, again, there's some truth to it,
but you hit on something that you hit on something that's so real. Most women that date younger do it because of control and manipulation, and they want to be in control. And you made a joke out of it. You hit it right on. So
there you go.
So not only are you getting not only is that joke getting like the low hanging fruit, but it's getting the intellectual part too, right? So that's what I mean by that joke is diverse.
It has a broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Of who it's going to appeal to.
Right.
And I feel like that's the best writing in that sense, because then, like you said, low hanging fruit. And then the person that can actually now dissect that.
Right.
Say, holy shit, she doesn't, this is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And then I just do that joke is so much fun.
Yeah.
It's just evolved. And every time I write another bit to it. And so that came out of something that I was experiencing at that time. But one of the things I've always tried to do is make my material original. So when someone else does it, I know they got that shit.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I know they got it from me.
It's
And people have told me they
yeah.
get a lot of my stuff in other cities.
Okay. We are going to, well, I am actually going to perfect segue into your opinion. Do you remember the Carlos Mencia, Joe Rogan thing a few years back? Right? Where Carlos Mencia had this reputation of stealing jokes, and then Joe Rogan finally called him out on it, as if.
I remember that.
Yeah. What was your take, and what is your opinion on guys, comics stealing jokes? Because from what I understand, in that world, it is a no-no. It is.
It's so lazy.
Yeah.
It's beyond lazy. Now, I first started working when my very first TV booking, which was within a year and a half of doing comedy. That's what I'm saying. I had a lot of things. I don't think I'm the typical story in comedy.
Definitely
I was very fortunate. I already booked, like within 2 years, I booked television. And it was a big show called Funny is Funny, and I taped it in San Antonio. And Carlos Mencia was hosting. And I heard a lot of things about him. He was nothing but good to me, but I did hear it from a lot of different people.
Right.
Now, I had it happen to me. I've had it happen to me many times because I write so much material. And what happens is in New York, honey, can you do me a favor and get me the charger, love? Because my phone's gonna, my computer.
Are you pressed for time? Do you need to?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, good.
If you don't mind, I don't mind. But my computer's gonna die, and I know to just. It should be. Not there. That's not it. No sé dónde lo puse, papi. A lo mejor en el closet. I had it happen to me once. At the very first time it happened, it was at Stand Up New York, and he is a wonderful comedian who I happen to love. And didn't need it. I thought it was lazy. He's a great writer. He does a lot of great shows. And my daughter happened to be at the show. And as soon as he did the joke, I remember going, "That's my joke." And my daughter came running into the bar area. He said, "My God, Mom, they just did your joke." I said, "I know." And the funny thing is, you notice it didn't get a laugh because I had just done it. So here's what I would tell you: if you're that lazy comedian that steals jokes, create a little Excel document where you write the joke and put the comic's name next to it so that when you have shows with that comic, you know not to do their joke.
Yeah.
Thieves forget where they got their jokes from.
Yeah.
And they will eventually goof up and say the joke in front of that person.
Right.
So what I did was, person to remain unnamed, I went right over to him and I said, "Hey, boo-boo, you know why that joke that didn't do well?" I said, "Because I did it earlier because it's my joke." And he just went, "Oh, yeah, I know. I love that joke." And try to play it off like
like it was no big deal.
Like it was no big deal. But I will always go right over to that comic and say, or I will text them. Or I will send an email. Don't think I don't know that you're doing my joke. It was flattering. Because it was a joke about.
It's flattering if he gives you credit.
There you go. I don't do anybody's jokes, but if I'm doing something, like there was this comedian, Mimi Gonzalez. She did a fabulous joke years ago about Puerto Rican, about Hispanic Heritage Month. It goes from September 15th to October 15th, and then it ends. She said, "We even have to cross borders with months. Like we couldn't get a whole month. We got a half a month." It was like this whole thing about crossing borders. And it wasn't necessarily the funniest, but I thought it was smart. I will always credit her for giving that, for telling that joke. And so that joke was a joke about how I dated many dumb men I was dating at that time. And I said, I can't take it. These men sound like they're getting all their knowledge from the caps of the Snapple bottles.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
The jokes I said.
Yeah, I did.
I'm asking this guy about the Kyoto Protocol and climate change. He says, "I don't know, but you know kangaroos can't walk backwards."
Yeah, I remember that joke. That
joke was hilarious for a little while, and then, it stopped. But he did that joke, and he did it dead in front of me. And the audience was like, somebody did it earlier and did it better. And that's the risk. You better be careful. Write the comic's name down because they're always going to know you stole it.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that you respected Joe Rogan after he called out Carlos Mencia.
Called him out. Yeah.
I mean, called him out like a man, face to face, on stage, as if Carlos Mencia would have. Joe Rogan's such a fucking badass. Like it doesn't, like, it really doesn't matter. He's been stuck. He's been studying martial arts since he could crawl. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. We'd kill him. But, I mean, and Carlos Mencia is like, Korea tanked after that. Man.
I remember that. You know what the thing is, John? There are certain bits, and we talk about this all the time when we write. We don't own concepts, right? Mm-hmm. It's what you do with the concept. So if you're going to do a joke about men being stupid, then it's what you write about it, right? But if you take someone else's joke, you know, like for example, I'm in Puerto Rico. We do a lot of Latino comics will do jokes about the slipper being how they hit everybody, the chancla, and it's just so old.
Yeah, it's like similar to you know, your grandmother having plastic on the couch for Italian jokes. You know, that's why I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's why I'm not a big Sebastian Maniscalco fan.
A lot of people aren't.
Because I've heard those jokes since I'm a kid with Pat Cooper, you know? And I'm like, I you know, to me, you know, I'm like, I heard those jokes. I've heard the difference between Jewish and Italian. I've heard all that crap, you know?
He's very, very lucky. That's what I always say. Some people in this business are very lucky.
That is true.
They find the audience, they tap into it. And I don't know if it's a new Italian audience or an old one that just misses someone doing it, but I don't really find a whole lot of original in it. And his physical comedy is very funny, and you know that's what sells it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's making a living, he's doing well, good for him.
Yeah, I was making that living.
You ain't kidding. I just was never a big fan of that typical Italian humor. It's just never, to me, that is like remember Dom Irrera? Remember the comic Dom Irrera? He was from Philadelphia. He was Italian. Like he would only do well if his audience was Italian, you know? Yeah. And to me, that's like, you're funny, but you're not creative. It's like, you know, like,
I mean, I've laughed when I've seen it, but once I see it for a little bit, I don't really find that much more interesting in it.
Right.
And I tell you something, the moves start to look very similar.
Right.
The moves all start to look the same. And I get it. Look, I'm a physical comic, but not all my jokes are physical. The ones that are physical are the ones that I really think need to be physical. It's not like I have to do the physicality to make the joke funnier.
Do you know the joke I'm thinking of in my head, and I'm laughing, right? About when you're on the dance floor and you put on the glasses and you look like a raccoon because you need night vision goggles.
Shit, yeah. Let me tell you something, John. That joke has gotten so much funnier.
Really? Oh, really?
Divas, it is so much funnier now because I talk more about I say, you know, why do these bathrooms have to be so dark? I know I peed in a sink. I know. I know I have peed in a sink. Like, there's no doubt in my mind.
Right.
This whole thing about well, if I peed in a sink, then you know what the converse to that is. And I'm washing my hands in a urinal. It's disgusting.
Oh, but it's hilarious.
I can't see shit in these clubs.
Yeah.
You know, I don't go clubbing at all anymore.
You joined the club. No pun intended. It's way.
I can't do it. It's just a whole different game now. And
when I was 30 was the last time I was at a club. I was 30 years old.
You remember your time?
I remember exactly the day where I said I am never doing this again, because I was 30 and I was in a club and I met a girl who was 21, and I was like, I shouldn't be here anymore. That's it. Yeah. I should be married with kids. I should not be in this friggin' club anymore. That's
you weren't married yet.
No, I wasn't married yet.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get married until I was 38.
Oh, that's not bad, though. So
yeah,
you got a long time to hang out and party.
Yeah, Did
you get it out of your system, bro?
Yeah, I mean, listen, all I do now is go to the gym, work, do side work, and do this fucking podcast and try to make my wife happy. That's really it.
You get it now, dude. That's it. There's no backing out of this.
Good,
I got to tell you, I think it's a great podcast.
Oh, and thank you so much.
That I have such respect for this. Oh, God, did I do it? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
you did. What happened?
I thought I erased it. I'm getting much better. I'm not kidding when I tell you I don't understand technology.
Oh, it's really bad. Yeah.
But I got the best tech support with benefits. My boo is amazing.
Yeah, well, I pay somebody to do my editing and I swear to God, I have two people, this girl and this guy, and either one of them are great. I'll send them this, and I'll say, edit this, do that, edit this, make this. And I just pay them.
There are different forms of payment, darling.
No, yeah. Unfortunately, you benefit from that, not me.
I got a different form of payment, but it worked out for me. Yeah. But I have such respect for this because I like I said to you, I wanted to do a podcast, and I started doing it with the microphones at home. Then we started coming to. I have this condo in Puerto Rico, and we were just doing it with the phone. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not shortchanging this process. This is something that people do legitimately 100% of the time. And I think it's disrespectful to just hold the camera up and go, I'm doing a podcast. Like, it's,
right.
I just think, and I have a lot of respect for what you guys do.
And believe me, there are
there's some great podcasts.
There's some great podcasts. And then there are podcasts. Do you ever see that comic? Remember Greg Giraldo when he roasted Larry the Cable Guy, and he's like, "How the fuck are you famous?"
Rest in peace.
Yeah, he would say, Larry the Cable Guy, "How the fuck are you famous?" Like basically saying, "I don't get, like, you just do this stupid Southern thing." There are podcasters like that where it's like, because I'm heavily plugged into podcasting. And there are podcasters like that sit in their car, they sit up their phone, and they have 500,000 subscribers. And I'm like, well, how?
Yeah, how did that happen?
How the fuck, Anyway.
Have you tried to figure that out, though? How people
Yeah. And what it is, all right, so that particular guy I'm talking about, he does a lot of shitting on modern women. So what I mean is, like, today's, of course, I mean, I don't even have to tell you, what modern women today, like the millennials and Gen Z, I mean, they're just not, maternal anymore. They're not wife material anymore. It's just they're a whole different breed.
Damn, tell me about it. Yeah, feeling that this generation is not wife material.
Oh, bad.
Wow.
It's bad. Yeah.
Good. I need to hear this.
Yeah. So it's really bad. So there's if you just look it up, there are podcasts, and you got to remember, YouTube is 80% of YouTube's viewers are men. For some reason, guys love YouTube. I don't know why. So this guy basically sets up his phone and reads horror stories that happen from a woman to a man. You know what I mean? And he's just feeding the guys that want to hear that women are shit. And there's a lot of guys out there like that. And this guy hits his niche, and he just, don't worry. All right, so we were talking about Louis C.K. and your opinion on Louis C.K. And
I just was saying that I couldn't remember the specifics of it.
Yeah, so he had invited girls up to his room before he was like the big time Louis C.K. and he pulled his dick out. I don't know if he was masturbating. Creepy. Yeah, no, that is some creepy shit. I mean, Louis C.K. just seems like one of those beta males that had talent enough to make it big and just didn't know how to deal with it. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like what you said. You said it before. I think. When you said something like, a lot of people don't understand how this business will eat you up and chew you out. And I don't think everyone is cut for this business.
Definitely.
You can be the funniest person on the planet, but if you don't know how to negotiate and navigate, rather, not negotiate, but navigate your way through the high profile nature of this work. Mm-hmm. This work is super high profile. Everything that you do is going to be under a microscope.
Right.
And I think in the back of my mind, that's one of the reasons why I don't think I pushed as much when Hollywood was coming, because I'm a private person. I don't want people in my shit. Like, people don't believe that about me. Like, I'm on stage, and yes, I'm talking about my life out there, but I'm letting you know what I want you to know.
Right.
As much as I need for you to know. Mm-hmm. The rest of it, I own that. Mm-hmm. And that's what scares me about this business. And you're right. He may have just been this sort of awkward, kind of like goofy kind of guy.
That's right. He is.
He was goofy. And that's that was part of his appeal.
Right. Yes.
And maybe, not the most handsome, but I didn't think he was unattractive. But that type of stuff, it just belies a much deeper issue with you as a man.
Yes.
There's something else going on there that you really should look at and try to figure out. But like,
I mean, if you're not with a woman, whether it's the first time or the 50th time, and it's intimate, like if I'm with a woman and I'm kissing her and we're touching, and then I pull it out, well, it's kind of the right time, right?
Yeah.
I've never been with a woman and I was like, hey, look at this. I mean, it's almost
just
like
randomly putting people out.
Yeah, I've never,
that's the whole part of it that's so bizarre.
Right.
Right. And I remember putting something out recently. I did a book, I did a alive from my porch because I had a lot of water on the balcony one day. And I wasn't thinking. I had just gotten up, so I had sort of like a little bra on, a little sports bra type thing, and a little panty. Well, maybe I should have been more mindful. But I wasn't like I was holding the candle like, yeah, look at that. I mean, I wasn't doing any of that shit. Like, hey, look at my leg, you know?
Yeah.
I was just saying, oh my God, I have to mop up. And you would not believe the type of creepy shit that I got.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to break grandma's back. I'm like, oh yeah, somebody wants to break my back.
Yeah. Wow, you're really charming.
No, yeah. So my whole thing is there are certain men, and I don't think every man is like that no matter what the circumstances, they can only see tits and ass.
Yeah. And I think the majority of men just don't understand women. So what I mean by that is I think the majority of men, like a guy like Louis C.K., especially before he was famous, was probably not very good with women.
Exactly.
You know, and really didn't know how to go about, you know, I mean, then you get a couple of drinks and the perv comes out and God knows what.
I mean, listen, that's what this whole incel movement is.
That's right. That's exactly
incel movement is, I think about men who are inadequate.
That's right.
And because of their own inadequacies, hate women.
Yes. Instead of improving themselves.
Instead of working on your inability to either talk to a woman or somewhere in your lifetime, you've been taught that we're not worthy, that we're second class, and again, that we just have these mounds on us that are only there to entertain you.
I think a lot of it has to do with social media because you know, as a man, you have to get used to rejection if you're a single man. That's just the way it is. I mean, I can't tell you how many girls I've approached to talk to and have either, I mean, I've had girls ignore me like I wasn't even standing there, like I was invisible, and I'd be like, hey, you know.
Too, John.
Oh, thank you very much. But I can't tell you, talking about New York, Brooklyn women. They are no joke.
They're horrible sometimes.
They are no
I was
joke.
one.
You know, they are no joke.
But it was way different. Look, I grew up at a different time, right? But now I can't even imagine being out there now.
No, and I think guys don't have that opportunity to get out there and learn, if you will, because now everything is, you know, dating sites and social media and Instagram and so on and so forth. And, you know, OnlyFans is another one. Oh,
I thought about it, John.
No. Listen to this. Again, I knew this was going to happen because we have a lot in common, but I wanted the interview to be about you, but I knew you were going to ignite things in my head and I wanted to tell you. I knew this was going to happen. So I have that one comedy show called Guy Talk, and I've had a couple of OnlyFans girls on my podcast, like as like an interview, if you will, but there wasn't really an interview. It was just basically putting a hot girl on my YouTube channel trying to get views. So I talked to all of my friends and I was like, you know, it'd be really funny if we can get one of those OnlyFans girls to come on, right? I'll show you, and we'll do something like this. You ready? Watch this. I'm not kidding. Yeah, and I said we'll just put this out there, and we'll just spin it. And we actually did a whole show on. So like this, like they landed on $50. I'm like the girls.
Chug.
Oh yeah, where was that one? Deep throat chug. Deep. Oh yeah, deep throat. Basically, all she had to do was down a beer and then deep throat the beer.
Oh.
Right, and then there was a whole bunch of.
You didn't ask me to do any of this.
No, I would never. But my favorite one is this one, cock and dice. Because cock and dice is I made this one up. Cock and dice is find something in your house, whether it's a cucumber, anything of a phallic symbol, deep throat it, and then right after you deep throw it, do your best impersonation of Andrew Dice Clay.
Who my husband loves.
Yeah. So
you know what? You got to be able to know that there's a lot of comedy in that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, I laughed at it right now. But if I was the woman on that show, I would be like offended to some extent. But I'm not that. Like,
but that's the problem. I couldn't. It sounded good on paper, but I can't find a girl to do it.
Right. And that's the thing, you have to, it's like the Howard Stern, I remember when I was married, my ex-husband used to love Howard Stern. And
everybody listened to Howard Stern.
I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it. That's part of the conflict that I have. I have to tell you.
I gotcha.
Because I am someone who, like I said, was very clinical. And I was, even when I was doing comedy, I was still working in schools. And, you have this image. A lot of it is image. You have to present yourself as this, upstanding citizen. And God forbid you should laugh at a dick joke. Right. Perfect all the time. And it's a struggle and it's a conflict because there's this part of me. My husband gets mad at me all the time. He's like, you gotta chill out, man. You gotta like relax with this stuff because I'll get real offended. But if you can make a real good joke out of something, I gotta give it to you. If you can write it that well that it's still funny, despite the fact that I don't think that you should be doing that because it's just not the right thing to do. Like I'll giggle at it and I'll just be like, damn, that was fucked up, but that shit was hilarious.
Yeah. That
was hilarious.
I mean, we do that all the time.
And I see it all the time. And sometimes, I can only take it but for so long. And that's the difference that I can't do an hour of it. I might be able to do a little bit of it, and then after a while, like I want to be challenged now. I want to hear the other stuff that I think is smart, like the guy with the solar panels. Like I gotta find that guy's name. I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, definitely send it to me
because he's a hidden talent that I don't know how big he's gotten, but he was very smart.
Mm-hmm. But, so, getting back to the Louis C.K. thing? Do you think that he should be canceled? Do you agree with that, or do you think he should just go?
I don't think he should be canceled. I think if someone disagrees with what someone is doing, just don't buy the tickets.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But people who are going to go see him. Look, I understand why women will not file charges or speak up when it happens. There is a lot of shame involved. I was date raped several times when I was young.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can tell. I know of 3 occasions now. I can say there's a whole backstory behind that where I was doing a lot of experimentation at the time. I was young, but I know for a fact that was part of the reason why someone drugged me up.
Oof.
Yeah. And I didn't tell anyone. I can only talk about it now.
Right.
And I know exactly who it was.
Right.
I know exactly. Twice it was the same person, and then once it was another person.
Did you have any older brothers?
I did, but my poor older brother, may he rest in peace, was probably in jail at that time. My poor older brother got caught up with the Rockefeller laws. He did 2 dime bags. He got caught with 2 dime bags of crack, and they gave him 12 to 25.
Wow.
It was his 3rd offense. Rockefeller laws.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't have the older brother to go and bust anybody's ass. And again, you blame yourself. I shouldn't have gone with him. I shouldn't have done that angel dust. I should have known better. It was stupid. Yeah. But I was very young, and they were older, and they took advantage. So there's a lot of shame. I get it.
I'm sorry.
But like I said, if it happens, thank you. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. If it happens and you are somebody famous, then just don't buy their tickets. Sabotage their money.
I think Larry Flint said it the best. I think he said, if you don't like Hustler magazine, don't read it. That's it. Yeah.
That simple. And by the way, Woody Harrelson killed it because I love that film.
Oh, it's fantastic. Woody Harrelson does not get enough credit as an actor. He does not. He is.
And crazy ass, the woman who played the wife.
Yeah, well, that really wasn't much of a stretch for her.
She killed it.
She did. You know, I want to see her play a nun and see how good she does.
Same thing with Juliette Lewis. Like I'm waiting for her to get something where she's got to be prim and proper.
Yeah, no, that's just
playing some hard ass roles. Have you seen her?
She plays white trash to a T. Let me tell you,
she's in this movie, in this series called Yellow Jackets. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't. No.
Great show on Hulu.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, it's a really great show. It's like the pandemic. I'm watching everything under the sun. Where I never watched this much television in my life. I am addicted to this stuff.
Oh yeah, okay.
But Julia Lewis came out, and I was like, there you go. She refuses to get any work done, and her face is hard, and I love her.
No, she's fantastic. I mean, one of my favorite movies is the one with Woody Harrelson that she did with Woody Harrelson, Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers.
That was one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, we
have very similar tastes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
I like that edgy shit. Yeah.
But what about what's your favorite funny movie of all time?
Working Girl.
Working Girl. Oh, well,
Amy-
that's okay. That's the one with
That's more of a rom-com.
but that yeah, I get it because you're a
Joanne
woman, so I
Cusack with
understand.
that hair
Yeah, yeah. She was
and the
typical.
bluish eyeshadow.
She was the typical Brooklyn,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that movie. That's one of my top 5 films. But funny, funny, funny. Probably it would have to be Trading Places.
Oh, classic.
Everything
Classic.
Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
Trading Places, Coming to America.
Yeah.
But in terms of like funny, funny, funny that I have to watch it every time. Oh God, that's a good question. I never thought about that. I always think about my favorite movies, but not my funny movie. Like ha 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 ha. You know which one was really funny for a long time for me, and it's so stupid now. I'm embarrassed to say it now. That stupid bowling film with
Woody Harrelson. It's
I
hilarious.
remember that film.
But Randy Quaid, it's hysterical. Yeah,
that movie
it's
was
Kingpin.
Kingpin.
Yeah, that movie's hysterical.
When he ended up with that big tattoo on his back,
Yeah.
remember, I almost passed out from laughing so hard.
Yeah, when he went bowling and his hand came out and rolled. I mean that movie's hilarious.
Like more recent ones, it's funny. I'm trying to.
No, well, there's really no in the last 5 to 7 years. There's no funny movies because everybody's so politically correct. Like
I kind of feel that. I love Bridesmaids.
oh, hilarious!
Yeah,
that movie's hysterical.
Yeah, my daughter will do voices. Like she'll do. Oh God, the main character. I'm just drawing all these blanks today.
Oh yeah, the Saturday Night Live girl. I forgot her name.
Yeah, I know. She does her voice so many times. Like she'll say something, and I look at her because I know it has to do with that film.
Mm-hmm.
Like she nailed it so badly. I thought that was funny, and of course that was the first time Melissa McCarthy that I saw.
Yeah, that was
all these funny women.
That was her home run. She knocked it out of the park, and it was never coming back.
I knew it was good that I wasn't resentful that there were no Latinos.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Usually I'm sitting there going, well, the shit would have been funnier if there would have been a Latina in it.
Yeah, right.
Like, damn, this shit's really funny. Like,
no, it was really funny.
That was a funny film, but I don't, like you said, I don't remember seeing anything since then. That
no, 40-Year-Old Virgin was on last night, and I remember I was watching it, and I was like, it's really funny, and I was like, they would never make a movie like this today.
No, and I like that film. I remember thinking to myself that.
I mean, you can go really bad and go Blazing Saddles, and you'd be like, "There's no way in hell they would make a movie like that today." We wouldn't even get past the first page.
Remember that?
Yeah, you wouldn't even get.
Who could punch a horse in the face?
Yeah, Mongo. Yeah.
Try punching a horse, Mongo.
Yeah, a Mongo. That's right.
What was that movie that we were watching that we said we couldn't believe there were so many funny people in it? Didn't we see something? You know what kind of comedy I liked a lot? The Christopher Guest.
Who's that?
The First in Show.
Oh, okay.
I like those. I love Eugene Levy.
Yes.
Oh gosh, Catherine O'Hara.
Yes, yeah. Catherine O'Hara is funny.
I loved Schitt's Creek. Like that to me was the funniest show, and I used to think
is funny.
It was. But I fell in love with that whole. And what was good about it was that each character was so nuanced and innocent and interesting.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they created one really great character and everyone.
No, they were all good, and they all have great chemistry. Yeah, they have
been working together. But Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, and that's his real son, right? The guy who plays his son is his real son.
Yes.
Yeah, and
the daughter played the barmaid. The restaurant owner. Remember they used to go to a restaurant and she was the one who owned it?
Which in Schitt's Creek?
Annie. Was her name Annie? In Schitt's Creek. His daughter was on that show too.
I don't remember, but I know.
A lot of people didn't know that was his daughter. I love celebrity.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no, that is a funny show. I'm still a big fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I haven't
caught it this season. I don't know why.
Tracy Ullman is on it.
No.
Yeah, and she is.
I have to watch it. I haven't watched it.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And her chemistry with him is hysterical.
What kind of character does she play?
She plays a politician, right? So what it is somebody dies in Larry David's backyard. He drowns in a pool because he doesn't have a fence around it. So this crazy circumstance happens where he doesn't want to get sued, and he winds up putting this girl who's related to the guy who died in one of his shows, and she can't act for shit. And if he's just able to get the law, changed, then he doesn't have to worry about that. So he starts dating Tracy Ullman because she's a politician.
Oh, I have to watch it now.
But the thing is, she plays like a slob. She's a disgusting slob. He takes her out to eat, and the food's falling out of her mouth, and she's always complaining that she's got gas, and she farts, and she doesn't wear underarm deodorant because she doesn't like stuff that's natural, so she smells. And it is fucking hysterical.
But he keeps dating her?
He keeps trying to date her, but he's disgusted because he just wants this law reprieved, like this law changed, and he just keeps
all about just getting something out of it.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah,
it's
I love
hysterical.
it. I do. I have to say, I wasn't a big friend. Jerry Seinfeld. I'm not going to tell you I watched the show. I didn't.
I'm sorry, but Jerry Seinfeld sucked as a comic.
Okay. Hello.
As a stand-up comedy, Jerry Seinfeld was terrible.
I didn't like him.
It was awful. And if it wasn't...
I can just say one of the worst to me.
Oh, horrible. And if it wasn't for Larry David, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Kramer...
Michael.
Right. You could literally take the guy Jerry Seinfeld out,
and put
anybody in, it would be the same show.
I agree. I was never a fan of the show. I just didn't find it that funny.
And his stand-up was just, it was I
just didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I thought maybe there's something wrong with me because he's where he is.
He came out of that 1980s era where everybody was a comic. That was like this comedy explosion. And comics that were really not that funny were getting a lot of notoriety, and there were a lot of comics that came out of that, and a lot of comics like became famous, and I'm like, they're really not that funny,
You know what happened though? Listen, I'm old enough that I've seen a little bit of more of the evolution.
Right.
I was in college. Right now, we're talking 75, 76, 77.
Yeah.
I remember I used to go to comedy shows. And I probably went to the Cellar and this was before I was a comedian, never even thought about doing it. But we always loved comedy. And I remember that when you went to go see a comedy show back in the day, you stayed all night. If you got there at 9 o'clock, 8:30, it could be 1 o'clock in the morning and you were still in your seat drinking.
Okay.
And comics will go up there. And it wasn't like now that you have a million. You would have maybe 4 comics and they were up there for an hour and a half.
Right.
2 hours. They were up there working. And it was this long show and there weren't that many of them. You had a handful of really, really great comedians.
I agree.
Shows. Then what happened, I think, is that obviously you said the 80s were rough. The city was going through some shit and it was just, maybe it was because actors couldn't find work, but all of a sudden it got really saturated.
Big time.
With people who thought they were comics.
Yes.
Or said, I can't get these acting gigs, but I know stand-up, I can at least make $50 if I show up.
Right.
And I really do believe that a lot of people went into stand-up as a backup.
Yeah, that's actually that's a very good possibility because
I do think.
Because in the 80s, I mean, it really did. There were people, who was the girl that had the accordion? And I'm like, she just had this weird voice.
Judy Tenata.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was never a big fan. I don't know.
And a lot of people, just in terms, and she was okay. I enjoyed her, but like I said, when and again, I'm just going to talk about what happened by the time I started.
Right.
And again, I have nothing but love for people who started early on, and this was the only thing they've done their whole lives. I had a complete career when I started doing comedy. So yes, it was important, but I knew that I could pay my bills. So I didn't have that.
Yeah, right. Right.
I'm starving right now. I was never a starving artist. And I think the starving artists, there were many starving artists that went into stand-up because they thought it was easy. They could get booked without an agent. And they just threw some shit together. Like I saw a lot of women when I first started doing comedy who really pushed that whole sexy thing, like to a place where I was like, but you gotta be funny.
Yeah.
You gotta be funny. And they were like, I remember this one woman, she would come up with milk jugs. Her headshot was like milk jugs, like right by her chest or something like that.
Okay.
She was really an actress. She was not a stand-up.
Okay.
We were kind of confused because we were like,
And then, no, it really wasn't. And it kind of like lasted into the early 90s. And then I think the 90s was like this peak, the 90s into the early 2000s. And that's your generation. That's when you came along. And that's when we got Patrice O'Neal and Bill Burr and Louis C.K. and Lisa Lampanelli and Greg Giraldo and Kevin Hart. I mean, Kevin Hart was around a long time before.
Kevin Hart and I had the same agent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Abrams.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to go to California. I'm like, my kids are here. I can't go to California.
Right. And that's when you had the Bernie Macs. Yeah. And that's when all of a sudden you had this like tremendous amount of talent that just blew up, and you could say anything. I remember I went to see Jim Norton do stand-up, and the things he was saying, I was like, holy shit. Like he does this joke about, he asked his girlfriend, how big her ex-boyfriend's dick was, and she said it was like a soda can. And he goes, he goes, oh yeah, so take my dick and 5 more like it, and I'm like, holy shit. And it was just, and now what's your opinion of it today? It seems to be comics are.
Like I said, I think anybody should be able to say whatever they want in a comedy club. And if you don't like it, you don't have to get up there and tell them, I saw a woman get up on stage recently and tell a guy, I forgot who it was. I don't remember the guy's name. And she actually got up on stage to tell him, that's fucked up. You shouldn't be saying that about women.
Yeah.
No. Just quietly gather up your shit
and leave.
And leave. There's people that pay for this, and it may not appeal to you, but comedy is so subjective.
That's right.
I don't even think that we should be doing comedy contests. I don't believe in that stuff.
That's a good point.
I don't think we should do comedy contests.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I never thought of that.
Subjective. How do you judge whether one person is funnier than another person, right? You may have just had the right audience for that particular comedian, right?
Right.
And so I just feel like, and even somebody like me that I know, like Puerto Rican rooms, my favorite.
Of course.
Absolutely my favorite. I feel like I'm in my living room. I can just throw down like I used to and be myself and lovely. Mm-hmm. And then certain rooms, I know I have to change up. I got to change my material. I can't do all that Latino stuff. So I'm gonna modify it somewhat. Mm-hmm. And like I said, if I see that audience isn't feeling me, I gotta change it a little bit, not that much. Mm-hmm. But do I change it for one guy and 140 other people are totally okay with what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I remember people were walking out of Wanda Sykes' show. They had a video of a whole bunch of women. Well, this is disgusting. She shouldn't be saying all of this about the president. Do you not know who Wanda Sykes is? Yeah. Do you not know? Did you not do your research? Yeah. Right. Why would you spend $100 to see someone who you know is going to go up there and call him a dick? Yeah. Right. yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You've done it 100 times on TV. Right. You can't get mad at her for being who she is. Right. That's who she is. Wanda's being Wanda. Yeah. So leave. I used to think Wanda was hysterical. I used to think Wanda was really funny. Hilarious. Yeah, Wanda came up in your era of comics. Yeah, I remember I did one of my very first shows. I was only doing comedy maybe 2 years, and I was on my way to do a show at UConn, opening for some comedian named Wanda Sykes Hall. She was married at that time, and I was so excited. I'd never heard of her, and I remember on the way up there, I wrote one of my best jokes that is still I do this joke because it's the Hallmark joke about developing greeting cards for the convicted. Because my brother was in jail, and I couldn't find the right card to send him. Cool. I would look at a card, and it would say, "From my house to yours." That's shitty to send someone in jail. Yeah. But it's literally every time I tried to find the right card for my brother, I couldn't. So I developed this whole joke, and people tell me all the time I could have been rich selling those cards on the shows. Yeah, right. Never got around to it, but I will now for my one woman. Okay. But the point was, I wrote that on the way up to go work with Wanda Sykes.
That's a great story.
And talk about comedians who I love now. I love Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, I haven't seen her stuff recently, but back in, like I said, in that time, 90s into the early 2000s, she was really funny. She had some
Rock, Wanda Sykes, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Mike Epps.
Oh, I forgot about Mike Epps. Very funny, but different type of comedy, more of slapstick, but very funny.
Slapstick, but a little bit of storytelling. Just love all that stuff. And I wonder why they're all black.
Yeah. So now, what is the future of Sara Contreras?
Well, I have a couple of really wonderful things happening for me.
Okay.
The first thing really great thing that happened was that I met this wonderful man who saw that I was in a bit of a slump as far as my comedy, just not sure what I wanted to do with it. And he was like, "You're hilarious. We're going to get you on TikTok. You don't pay any attention to your social media. You think that it's all a joke and it's all beneath you and you're stuck up. I'm going to get you on TikTok and you're going to see what happens."
All right. Now I'm going to start following you on TikTok.
Within a couple of months, I've got 80,000 followers, which I never had on anything. But you know how it is. If you don't, if you get
got to stay on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have been, but he got me on there.
Mm-hmm.
From that, so much has happened.
Okay.
Like that TikTok connection really, it reintroduced me to a new audience, or introduced me for the first time to a younger audience, and reintroduced me to people who were like, "Gee, I saw her on the Divas, but I haven't seen her. I don't know where she is." So all of a sudden, I'm developing this new following, and it got me really great paying gigs.
Oh, good.
During the pandemic, like I was getting these amazing offers to do shows, and I was like, okay, and I just have to show up and be on screen, not a problem.
Yeah, right.
So that was happening, and then, like I said, the TikTok started happening, and now I'm flying out to Houston, and I've got all these other gigs coming up, and virtual was horrendous. I kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, I need to get paid. I can't keep doing all this. I can't keep doing all this, like, what do you call them? Fundraisers. There were lots of fundraisers.
Yeah.
So what's happening? I just got selected as one of 22 female comedians, which I haven't even posted yet on my Steve yelling at me. You didn't put what happened? First one who's gonna hear this. Yes, you're actually listening. Yeah.
But when do you plan on putting it out? Because I don't plan on putting it out till after New Year's.
No, I'm gonna probably put it out. So I'm one of 22 female comedians to watch in 2022.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Very nice. And I got a nice little write-up about what's going on. And I was supposed to premiere my one-woman show, Freak of Nature, at the Comic Strip Live on February 5th. Mm-hmm. It was like a little bit of a workshop still because I just wanted to iron out some things. But it's a really, really, really great show about aging, about, being a freak of nature like me and being a bad bitch.
That's for sure.
Yes, that's the whole idea. And I actually take the word freak and I make it an acronym.
Okay.
So it's the 5 things that I've done in my life to be who I am, which is forgive, rebel, exfoliate, acquire, and kiss.
Oh, okay.
I touch on each topic. And it's a lot of, generational stuff and, talking about the okay boomer stuff. And it's really fun. I love the show. So that's going to be premiering at some point because I just basically canceled it.
Oh, okay.
Everything that's going on in New York, I don't feel right. It's February 5th, bro.
Yeah.
5 weeks? Do you think we'll be ready in 5 weeks? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't. I think places will be open, but I think people will still be afraid to go.
I have people calling me up saying I got the ticket and I don't think I'm going to go.
Right. So I would probably push it till the spring or the summer.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said I don't feel comfortable. If I can do it in April, I will feel better. And even then, we have to see what's going on in the city.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It's a horrible decision to have to make. It killed me. I called up the promoter this morning. I said, I just don't feel comfortable on so many different levels.
Well, not only that, you're not going to make as much money as you possibly can. You're not going to, people
I don't want 50 people to show up for the premiere of this, my baby. It was ready to go before the pandemic.
Right.
I had John Leguizamo's production company interested in it.
Oh, wow.
And the pandemic hit. So now I had to sort of tweak it. It's a different show, right? These are different times. And then the other big thing that happened was because of my boo putting me on TikTok and making these, it just creates all this stuff for me, which I don't really pay attention to. I get this weird email on this past Sunday. Well, God, it's been a week, babe, today. And I have been selected as the opening comedian. This is a big announcement. I haven't even made it on social media yet.
Okay.
But there's a group called El Gran Combo, and they are the iconic salsa group of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Like from when I was a kid growing up with them.
All right.
And they handpicked me.
Really?
To be the opening act for their 60th anniversary world tour.
Get out of here. That's fantastic. So where is that gonna travel?
So far, I've only gotten 10 dates, and I've only gotten 4 of those 10.
Okay.
And I think part of it is that they kind of want us to see the fit, but trust me, they're going to give me all the show.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They definitely
I'm going to come in there and I'm going to give them candela, pain and smoke and tears and tattoos and pain and everything. I'm going to just put on 15 minutes of nonstop, not just like laughter, but that essence of being Boricua.
Right.
And if I can use the screen, which I've heard will be available to me, assuming that the technology works, I'm going to bring some of the images that I'm using for my one-woman show. Okay.
All right. I'm going to ask you one question. Has nothing to do with comedy, but yes. I'm a big boxing fan. Okay. So who is your favorite Puerto Rican fighter?
Hector Macho Camacho. I did like Felix Trinidad.
Trinidad was the man. That's right.
Big boxing fan.
Yeah.
Big boxing fan. I have the Muhammad Ali Sonny Liston picture at my house. My dad and I used to do all sports. I was his pet, and he turned me on to boxing and the Mets and Johnny Cash.
That's okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sarah, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean,
I hope I did my job today.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. I know, one great thing about having your own podcast is you reach out to the people you admire. You don't reach out to people you don't want on your show. And I reach out to plenty of people that I admire. And I don't know if you realize how, I hope you do. I don't know if you realize how you affect people. Your comedy makes people happy and creates this tremendous fan base. And I'm just thrilled that you accepted my offer to come on.
Thank you so much, John. It was a pleasure. You get a vibe from somebody, and I was like, I didn't want to lie to you. I definitely checked it out because I don't blame you. I just don't want to have to go up there and feel uncomfortable.
I would never do that, but I get it. There's a lot of. Thank you.
And I appreciate that you handled it with the delicadez, as we say.
Thank you very much.
Just enough, like I could get fresh. If I have to, I could get fresh. Trust me,
We'll do it again.
I was just saying. I want you to put me on with some guys so I could be like, look, let me explain something to you, bro.
If you want to, you could do that. I don't. Oof.
I know. No, not brutal.
Yeah, Meatball and Steve Smith. Did you see the videos I sent you? Yeah, they're rough.
You just make sure that it's not going to be that. But no, I'm really excited to have done something that if it's going to, do something or add or I don't know. It was a lot of fun though.
Good. I'm so happy. I'm so glad.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Sarah, thank you very much.
Send me the information. And I will keep you posted as far as when we redo the dates on the show. And I'll have you as a guest to the show.
Oh, that would be great. That would be fantastic. Okay? I would love it.
I'll keep you posted on my dates too.
Definitely.
Are you following me now?
I'm following you on Instagram. I'm about to hit you up on TikTok.
Hit me up on TikTok and you can see all my fun videos. You see,
okay.
And it's all Alex. I have nothing to do with it.
All right, good.
I'm just a Price is Right girl. That's all.
You're more than that. You are fabulous.
Bye, John.
Bye-bye.